A former member of the Pagan motorcycle gang and his wife have been found shot to death in Millville. They both were scheduled to testify today in the assault trial of another Pagan gang member. Police said 31-year-old William Tomlinson and his 29-year-old wife Tony, both shot in the head once, were found in a Millville gravel pit. Both were from Wilmington, Delaware, and were to testify in county court there.
An early morning gun battle on the north-south freeway in Camden County has left a wounded New Jersey state trooper in stable condition in a Camden hospital tonight. 100 more troopers are out looking for the suspected assailant. Dan Hodson has the story.
The shooting occurred just before 2 a.m. while Trooper John Jacobs was frisking a suspect he'd stopped on a speeding charge. State troopers spent most of the day here at the scene along Route 42, 4 to 5 miles south of Deptford in Camden County, trying to piece everything together. The suspect apparently pulled a .38 caliber revolver, shot Jacobs in the face with the bullet lodging along the spine and cracking a vertebrae. Jacobs also emptied all 6 rounds from his gun, but it isn't known yet if he wounded his assailant. Jacobs was taken to Cooper Medical Center in Camden and is in stable condition. Doctors say they don't believe there are any permanent disabling injuries. Jacobs is an 11-year veteran of the force. He has a wife and 3 daughters. After the shooting, the assailant reportedly abandoned his car in this field a few miles off the freeway and set it on fire, apparently to destroy evidence. But despite that, by midday, state police had issued a warrant for the arrest of this man, 31-year-old Glen Turner, reportedly the vice president of the Pagan motorcycle gang, with felony convictions on weapons and drug charges.
I think they're just simply misfits who don't fit in society for one reason or another. They're involved in all kinds of illegal pursuits, but we haven't seen them being violent with policemen that often.
State police have picked up 2 Pagan motorcyclists who they think were at the scene just before this morning's shooting, along with 3 other gang members whom they've been interviewing here most of the day at the Manhunt Trooper Barracks. A police spokesman says they have several leads that they're checking out, but admits at this point they're not even sure if the suspect is still in the South Jersey area. The Troopers Union used this morning's shootings to once again press their demands for bulletproof vests, a holster design that allows the gun to be drawn more quickly, and 2-man trooper patrols.
If Trooper Jacobs had had a partner, if he had been conducting a 2-man patrol at the time, we're certain that that would have been a deterrent enough to keep the suspect from shooting.
Police Superintendent Clinton Pagano responded by saying the investigation into these issues is already underway, but he's not convinced a 2-man patrol would have made any difference in this case.
All these incidents raise our anger, and all these incidents raise the level of emotion in the police organization. I would hope that we never have another trooper shot or injured, but I would bet that regardless of what changes we may make, that this will be our fate from time to time.
Mantua Township, Gloucester County, I'm Dan Hodgson.
The search is still on tonight for the alleged motorcycle gang member charged with the shooting of a New Jersey state trooper early yesterday morning. State police are looking for 31-year-old Glen Turner, who is identified by the Pennsylvania Crime Commission as the vice president of the Pagan motorcycle gang. Police have been following any ties today in the search for Turner. Trooper John Jacobs of Blackwood is in satisfactory condition this evening at Cooper Medical Center in Camden. Jacobs was shot in the face after he stopped a white Cadillac for speeding on Route 42 in Gloucester Township around 2 a.m. yesterday. Police in Pennsylvania and Delaware, along with the FBI, are now involved in the search for Turner. A Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania man has been arrested in connection with the shooting last week of New Jersey State Trooper John Jacobs. 34-year-old Glen Turner was arrested this morning at a home in Hanover Township, Pennsylvania. Turner offered no resistance when arrested. He will be charged with attempted homicide, aggravated assault, and possession of a deadly weapon. Lieutenant Colonel Justin Dintino said state police will continue to investigate the shooting and the fatal shooting of State Trooper Philip LaMonaco last fall.
We got 1 down and 4 more to go. And the 4 more to go that I'm talking about is Thomas William Manning for the killing of Trooper Philip LaMonaco, Richard Charles Williams for the killing of Trooper Philip LaMonaco, Raymond Luke Lavaseur, suspected in the killing of Trooper Philip LaMonaco, and Joanne Chesimar for the killing of Trooper Warren Forrester. And we're going to get those too, and very shortly. Be sure of it.
Trooper Jacobs was shot in the face after stopping a car last Wednesday in Gloucester Township. He remains in satisfactory condition at Cooper Medical Center in Camden.
Pagan motorcycle gang member Glen Turner was arraigned today on charges of attempted murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a weapon in the shooting of a New Jersey state trooper. Camden County Superior Court Judge Donald Bigley set bail for the 34-year-old Turner at $150,000. Turner was arrested yesterday near Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and was arraigned there on a fugitive warrant charge before being returned to New Jersey. Trooper Jacobs was shot in the face last Wednesday in Gloucester Township after he stopped a car on Route 42. He remains in satisfactory condition at Cooper Medical Center in Camden.
A 4-count indictment has been handed down by the state grand jury against 35-year-old Glen Turner, charged with shooting State Police Trooper John Jacobs. Turner of Marcus Hooks, Pennsylvania, has been charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and weapons offenses. He could get a maximum sentence of 35 years in jail for shooting Trooper Jacobs in the face last March 24th in Gloucester Township, Camden County. Jacobs has been released from the hospital and is recuperating at home. Turner, who is reportedly a leader of the Pagans motorcycle gang, was arrested 5 days after the shooting at a private home in Hanover Township, Pennsylvania. A member of the Pagan motorcycle gang charged in the shooting of a state trooper last March failed to show up in Camden County Court today. Glen Turner was released last month after posting a $175,000 bail bond. He spent 2 months in jail after his arrest. Turner's attorney said he has not been able to reach his client for several days. Turner, who is now listed as a fugitive, is charged with shooting Trooper John Jacobs in the face after he was stopped for speeding. Police believe Jacobs interrupted a drug run. Pagan Motorcycle Club Vice President Glen Turner was returned to the Camden County Jail today, and Dan Hodgson tells us steps were taken to make sure he doesn't escape again.
The state police have been looking for Glen Turner since last June, when he failed to show up for a pretrial hearing after posting $150,000 cash bail. The 34-year-old Turner is part of the Pagan motorcycle gang, thought to be heavily involved in drug traffic in Philadelphia and South Jersey. Turner was finally rearrested in Chase City, Virginia by the FBI 2 days ago. He's thought to be the one who was stopped last March on this stretch of the north-south freeway just south of Camden. While being searched, he reportedly pulled a pistol and shot Trooper John Jacobs in the face. Jacobs survived, but is suffering almost total loss of vision in his left eye. He has been able to return to work and has been assigned to the State Police Ballistics Division. Turner also has previous felony convictions on weapons and drugs charges. The State Police Superintendent Clinton Pagano says he doesn't think he should be released on bail again.
I think when you have an individual who, because of whatever reason, takes it upon himself to attack an already armed officer, you've got an individual who would not hesitate to attack an unarmed citizen. So I consider a person like this a threat to public safety.
In today's bail hearing, the Attorney General's office asked that bail be set at $5 million due to the serious nature of the charges and to keep Turner from leaving the state again. Superior Court Judge Donald Bigley agreed on the principle, but not on the amount.
I feel that a cash bail of a sufficient enormity that even you would consider not fleeing this jurisdiction if perchance you're able to post it is called for in this case. I'm going to put $4 million cash bail on you.
Turner is charged officially with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and 2 counts of weapons violations. He faces a possible sentence of 35 years in prison and a fine of $375,000 if convicted. As of late this afternoon, there was no indication as to whether he would be able to post bail. The $4 million bail figure is the highest ever set by this judge, and he says he's not aware of any case where it's been set any higher. The judge also said the only reason he set a bail figure at all is because under state law he is required to, except in cases of murder. At Superior Court in Camden, I'm Dan Hodgson.
Glen Turner, the reputed Pagan motorcycle gang leader accused of shooting a New Jersey state trooper, took the witness stand in his own defense today. Both sides concede that Turner did shoot Trooper John Jacobs, and the testimony of the 2 men on the shooting was remarkably similar. Rita Shade reports.
Yesterday, Trooper Jacobs said Glen Turner pulled a gun and repeatedly shot him.
When I was looking up, everything was blurred, but I seen a form standing over me making this motion and firing more rounds.
Today, Turner did not dispute that account.
I was just crazy. I thought, I seen the trooper fall. I seen him going for his gun at the time, and I thought he was going to kill me. I immediately hit the ground. He fired 5 or 6 shots at me at that time.
Did you fire any other shots?
I may have fired, a couple of shots, I don't remember.
But Turner said he found himself shooting the trooper after the law enforcement officer saw a cigarette lighter with a pagan inscription and then made a disparaging remark.
He picked the lighter up and looked at it and said, "Pagan, huh? What else you got, scumbag?" And at that time, when the incident happened, I just went off. I don't know. I just pulled the gun and it shot, and before I knew it, he was shot.
Under cross-examination, the prosecution suggested Turner shot the trooper because he was afraid of being arrested for carrying an unregistered gun.
Isn't it a fact that there was no derogatory comment at all?
No, that's not a fact.
Isn't it a fact that you realized you were going directly to jail when he found the gun?
Objection, Your Honor.
No.
The defense claims Turner was so crazed by drugs that he is not responsible for the shooting. But the prosecution said the Pagan gang leader could tolerate high doses of drugs, and that Turner's memory was good enough to plot ways to avoid being stopped by police that night.
Isn't it a fact that the entire process of being stopped by this police officer and of your having to undergo a search by him, a search which was going to reveal a weapon which was illegal for you to carry and you were going directly to jail, that he burned you up to put you through all that bullshit?
No.
On Monday, the jury will hear testimony from an expert witness. The defense will present a forensic psychiatrist from the University of Pennsylvania. The defense is hoping to bolster Turner's claim that it was the drugs, not anger, that made him shoot the state trooper. In Camden, I'm Rita Shade.
It took a Camden jury 5.5 hours to find reputed Pagan motorcycle gang leader Glen Turner guilty of attempted murder in the shooting of State Trooper John Jacobs. Dan Hodgson has the story.
Superior Court Judge Leon Wingate had charged the jury and sent them out to reach a decision late yesterday afternoon. At mid-morning today, they returned asking for clarification of certain points of law to help them decide if Glen Turner had been too intoxicated on speed and angel dust to be held accountable for shooting State Trooper John Jacobs. They were told the state had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Turner had acted purposefully and knowingly in the shooting. With that instruction, the verdict was reached within a few hours.
What then is your verdict in the case of the state of New Jersey versus Glen J. Turner on charging attempted murder, purposely did attempt to cause serious bodily injury resulting in death?
Guilty.
Turner received the verdict as he had the entire proceedings, without any visible emotion. But as he left the courtroom for the final time, he registered his feelings with a final defiant gesture. Prosecutor Lawrence Welly had told the jury in closing arguments a verdict of innocent would tell the public that, quote, every druggie who ingests some kind of substance is not going to be held responsible for his actions. Today, Welly said he is obviously pleased with the verdict.
Well, I think this jury recognized that our law enforcement officers have to be protected. It's a tough job, and asserting some kind of diminished capacity by alcohol or drugs will not work, and it should not work.
Welly said the current law should be changed to make sure people who voluntarily take drugs or alcohol are held responsible for their actions. Glen Turner's lawyer, Barry Hochfeld, said he didn't feel this trial or its outcome should lead to any change in the innocent by reason of intoxication law.
At the moment, it's as viable as it was before this trial started, and I suspect it's going to remain viable for some period of time.
Turner's attorney also said he felt some aspects of the trial were not conducted properly. Although he wouldn't be more specific, he did say there will almost certainly be an appeal. In the meantime, bail, which had been set at $4 million, has been revoked, and Turner will await the appeal and sentencing 6 weeks from now from the county jail. In Camden, I'm Dan Hodgson.
Motorcycle gang leader Glen Turner was sentenced in Camden Superior Court today for shooting a state trooper in March of last year. Dan Hodgson has a report.
Turner's trial has received considerable notoriety due to his plea of innocent by reason of intoxication. Under state law, a person is not guilty if he is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and if it is not proven that he purposefully or knowingly committed the crime. 2 months ago, the jury decided that Glen Turner did know what he was doing when he shot State Trooper John Jacobs. And today, Judge Leon Wingate emphatically agreed.
You, without any warning, indication, just hauled out and pulled out your revolver and shot the man in the face. It was absolutely ruthless. And I'm satisfied the jury felt the same way, that you knew what it was all about. You knew what you were doing. You know why.
Turner has 2 other prior criminal convictions. This meant he could be sentenced today as a persistent offender. The judge was able to double the maximum sentence for the crime of attempted murder from 10 to 20 years, plus an additional 5 years for having a gun without a permit. Judge Wingate also gave the maximum term that Turner must serve before becoming eligible for parole. That'll be a minimum of half the sentence, or 12.5 years.
My only regret is I can't impose a greater sentence than I'm going to impose right now, because I think you deserve every bit of it. Every bit of it.
Turner was taken immediately to the Yardville prison to begin serving his sentence. His attorney says an appeal will be filed on what he called certain improprieties in the way the trial was conducted. In Camden, I'm Dan Hodgson.